Ooh, I just got a notification from Discord that our podcast record event has started.
Fabulous.
Which, incidentally, it has. And I'm using this as a terrible, unplanned, yet very convenient segue to say hello. We want to welcome you all to the Dungeon Bros podcast. I'm Connor.
And I'm Sam.
We are not brothers.
Nor are we in a dungeon.
But we play ones that are in a dungeon on TV. We play brothers who are in a dungeon on television.
That's not true at all.
Yep. But the Discord tie-in here that seemingly would have meant nothing up until this point. We have a new moderator for the Discord. We've mentioned him on the podcast before because he's been so active in our Discord community. DK Alexander, hello.
Hello. Yes.
Welcome. Thank you so much for being so wonderful. And if you join our Discord, which over 230 people have already, throw some like really dank memes in the meme channel, please. I love the meme channel, and there aren't that many memes there these days, which is a bit sad. Which, you know, in this economy, I mean, memes are expensive.
Look, you know, people come and go, but memes are forever.
Memes are forever. The more offensive, the better, honestly.
Sure. I'm going to be honest.
Give me your most offensive of memes. Asterisk.
I want your most defensive of memes.
Ooh.
If they can't tend goal, I'm not here for it.
Ooh. That's an interesting challenge that we've just posed. But there's also many benefits to the Discord. It's fun.
Yeah.
Well, you can also find a coupon code for our Blood Magic and HEMAcraft supplement in the announcements channel on the Discord, which is just going to be there forever.
Just forever.
There you go. Sam, how the hell you been?
I had a filling put in today. Actually, two. Well, I had two fillings taken out and two put in. So, I've got a dull ache like right here.
He is motioning to his right upper cheek area.
Yes, you know where the nerves of your teeth are.
Oh. Yeah.
Yes, so that's
unfortunate.
I've completed 3 of 4 dentist visits this month. So that's a lesson to you kids. If you haven't gone to the dentist in a while, you might have to go 3 more times.
Yeah. That's why I'm just not going. I don't think I've been since I was 18.
I think the last time I had gone was 18, 19, something like that.
For reference, he's 28 and I'm 27.
Yes.
And I'm about to be 28 in a couple months.
A couple months.
It's been a minute. I found a new love recently.
Oh, God.
Which is, of course, the sugar-free Ale 8.
Oh, I was aware of this one.
For those of you that don't know, my favorite soda of all time is a staple of the state of Kentucky and surrounding areas. The Ale 8-1. It's like a ginger ale citrus beverage. And since I've been counting ye olde calories this year, one of the things that I have cut out quite a bit was soda. Now, I still drink soda.
Sure.
I'm still a big proponent of the Diet Coke.
Yeah.
Always have been. Always will be. Love me some aspartame. I want as much toxic sweetness in my body as possible. Toxic Sweetness could be the title of my memoirs, or...
Great band name.
I was going to say name of my sex tape. Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yes.
Artificial Sweetness, name of the sex tape. That's terrible. But the sugar-free Ale 8, a 0-calorie beverage, not the Diet Ale 8. I want that to be very clear. The Diet Ale 8 is bullshit and disgusting. But the sugar-free Ale 8, I rolled the dice on the last time at the grocery store. I think I've had all 6 in as many days.
There you go.
So,
you find something you love, you buy it in bulk.
Cheers to that. Highly recommend. Highly recommend the Ale 8, both sugar-free and properly sugared varieties.
I used to work at a bar down in downtown Cincinnati. The bar is no longer there, but it was a board game themed bar, and all of the cocktails were themed around childhood enjoyments.
Oh.
No, they were adult traumas for me having to make the fucking drinks. But the mule was instead of made with ginger beer, it was made with Ale 8.
Now, I discovered this early in my collegiate career. Career of drinking, that is. That the whiskey Ale 8, as far as the liquor soda combination cocktails are, second only to the Jack and Coke, honestly. It's really good. Bourbon and Ale 8 is it just hits that spot.
What about bourbon and Mountain Dew?
A lesser form. It's honestly the addition of the ginger that makes all the difference. And the Mountain Dew is way too sweet. If you're going to have a Mountain Dew, you need to...
Well, the thing about the Mountain Dew is it was originally created as a mixer for whiskey.
I know, but it's... I'd rather just have it with vodka, honestly. Anyway.
Moving on.
Recently, the Dungeons & Dragons YouTube channel released a video where they're already hyping up their Dragonlance stuff.
Yep, that's coming up.
Which is pretty cool. I'm pumped for Dragonlance.
Oh, are you?
Honestly.
Okay.
My brother and my dad have been readers of the Dragonlance novels for a while, and they've given me a lot of shit because of my love of both D&D and Lord of the Rings. They are shocked that I have not once attempted to read any of the Dragonlance books. And I wouldn't be surprised if at some point in my future there's a universe out there where I'm taking the Dragonlance, the Fizzband's Treasury of Dragons, and the... Oh, gosh.
Board game? Novelizations?
The campaign book, which name is escaping me. Something Dragon Queen.
Oh,
Damn it. That's embarrassing.
We're a little tired here at the old Dungeon Bros Central.
Shadow of the Dragon.
There we go, Shadow. I was going to say Wrath. I'm like, that's not right.
Yeah. But because it would be set in the world of Kryn, then I could see a future running a game there with my brother, my father, maybe some other family. Make it a family D&D thing. Do it on a video call, since my dad lives out in the middle of bumfuck nowhere.
Well, that happens. So you wouldn't be using the board game.
I don't know about that. It's a neat novelty for those that are really into Dragonlance, the whole board game tie-in thing. But I don't.
Yes, for those of you unaware, there is a board game coming out, I believe, called Heroes of Kryn.
Yes.
And you can replace some of the encounters in Shadow of the Dragon Queen with this board game.
Yeah. So that's coming out on December 6th, coming up soon. So keep an eye out for that. Another thing that's out right now as of the recording of this is the survey for the 1D&D Experts classes UA, which is chonky as fuck.
Yep.
And definitely write in, because there's some things that I'm sure a lot of people are not big fans of.
Yeah, we talked about it a couple podcasts ago. A lot of people...
The last one.
See, time flies. But I know I've heard a lot of people displeased with changes to the Bard. We thought the Bard was a fine...
Fine. The Bard's fine. The people are upset with the Rogue, too, because they got the nerf, which is kind of within reason.
There was maybe one big change, but it's honestly very overlookable, because we overlooked it the first time we read through it.
Oh yeah. A couple of notes here. 2-weapon fighting, love the change. Keep it as is, wholesale. Guidance, keep it a reaction. Don't limit it to only once per day per creature. Bardic Inspiration, maybe don't let it heal. Maybe instead give it a reaction, spare the dying kind of effect instead. Because the reaction healing is a lot.
But it's also very limited.
It is. I could be swayed either way, but I think it would upset a lot less people if it were a spare the dying style effect instead of a healing style effect.
I think if it were a spare the dying style effect, a lot more people would be angry at what they did to the Bard. But I guess we'll have to see what they do with the priest classes, which are supposed to be your traditional healers. Again, we've talked about this, how it's very hard to put all of this in perspective, and we're just getting little bits of it at a time.
And the final thing I will note, the Ranger feature that lets you cast Conjure Barrage and downcast it, wipe that out.
You don't like that?
No. I don't. Conjure Barrage is fine. Like, after going back and actually looking through the spell, downcasting it would be a waste. I'd rather just be casting another spell. And
because it's 3d8 whenever additional in a area.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a paladin's. It's like a long range area of effect smite.
A mini smite.
Once you get that downcast.
And I would much rather, like, in that instance, I would rather just do the because they were already just picking one feature from the hunter subclass in many respects. Just give us volley. I'd rather just have volley.
That's fine. Yeah, sure.
You know,
I think those are interchangeable.
We don't need to muddy it up with spell casting with a kind of okay spell and downcasting and all that. Downcasting I'm okay with as a concept. The specifics of its execution I would be worried about. But yes, the survey is live now and it'll be up for, I believe, 2 weeks.
Yep, they usually do 2 weeks. I want to make a note. Mm-hmm. I'm here too. No, mine is about the specific actions, the search action, the insight action, or whatever that one is, and the influence actions.
Influence action. Yikes.
So these are all basically taking the idea of asking your DM to make a specific roll, but saying you're doing it as an action. They're mechanizing that. Instead, just kind of tell them, say, if you want to make a check, ask your DM if it's all right to make this check. They didn't need to mechanize it.
A point of order here. All of this content so far is going to be going into the new player's handbook.
Yes.
Which means this is going to be read by players. Mm-hmm. And all the social interaction stuff, somewhat similar to what they listed in the influence action, except the influence action in and of itself has taken agency away from the dungeon master and given it to the player. And when you couple that with the natural 20 is an automatic success rule that they're toying around with, you get into some dangerous territory when the natural 20 is made on a charisma check for the influence action that a player was forcing upon the DM. Kind of it's love that you're trying. You're trying. I'm not a fan of the influence action.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Okay.
All right, moving on.
I want to laugh at G4 TV a little bit. Laugh out loud. Rest in peace, G4 TV. The comeback nobody wanted.
God, go back to episode 2 of the Dungeon Bros podcast. I think is when we talked about G4. What was that was being put on G4? I forget.
It was some D&D show or some shit.
Oh yeah, it was a G&D improv acting style show.
And we talked about how fucking terrible G4 is and that they shouldn't be bringing it back. And the big problem, G4 probably could have succeeded if it was like 12 people.
Yeah.
But it was an organization of 200 and they had a fucking building and it was a mess. The overhead was way too big. They basically immediately went back to the old G4 ways of just rerunning a bunch of like American Ninja Warrior, or not even American Ninja Warrior, Ninja Warrior.
No, yeah, Ninja Warrior.
So
I saw some of their stuff on TikTok. Like they had a TikTok account. It wasn't anything special as far as content goes.
Yeah. Laugh out loud, rest in peace. We hardly knew you, and we didn't want to.
And now we'll steal all your properties and we'll become huge. Let's hire 200 people right now, Connor. Everybody in the chat, you're hired. We can't pay you anything.
We will pay you in bad jokes and segues.
And eyebrow waggling.
Of course. Now it's time to draft. Sam.
It is time to draft.
We have replaced last week, which was candy. That spot on the table has been replaced with cuisines. Mm-hmm. Cuisines has replaced that on the table. And some more examples of various other things. Desserts, anime, restaurants, intramural sports, D&D creators.
Video games, fast food, subclasses, spells.
Cereal, sandwiches, and the like. Results from last week. Sam's team was the Hershey's chocolate bar, the Skittles, the Cadbury cream egg, the Three Musketeers, and the Tootsie Pop. And my team, the superior team, was the Reese's Cup, the Snickers, the Kit Kat, the Sour Patch Kids, and the Mounds/Almond Joy bar, which was from the heart, not from the head. The head probably would have gone M&M's. Heart went Almond Joys and Mounds. This was a decided victory.
Yes, and we kind of broke it down to there was probably one of us was going to win based on a particular candy.
The Reese Cup.
The Reese Cup.
Now, even if the Reese Cup were taken off the board entirely, I still think I'm winning that matchup. Honestly.
I think then you become
the Snickers, the Kit Kat, and the Sour Patch Kids. I feel like is better than the Hershey's chocolate bar.
You reminded me of something. 1 second, TikTok.
Oh no. Oh no. Now I feel like I need to fill the time. Fill the day. Oh,
So
he's back already.
Yes,
What do you
we
have?
talked about candy last week. And we talked about the hundreds of flavors of Kit Kat they have in Japan. So I went to the store and they have new blueberry muffin Kit Kats. So I thought we could try these while we're on the air.
Sure.
We'll move our heads back from the mics.
We currently have in the fridge for Halloween. I bought the pumpkin pie Kit Kats just because I wanted to give them a go. They're fine.
They're fine. They're a little candly.
Little waxy. Little waxy. They taste like a pumpkin spice candle smells. Mm-hmm. All right. Ooh.
Very blueberry. Yes.
Blueberry Pop-Tart as fuck. All right. Oh, that's lovely. Those little like wafer cookies, like the ones that come, like you get a pack and it's like chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry.
Yeah.
With wafer cookies. I'm getting that vibe if they made a blueberry one.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not like it's not as fake blueberry as the blueberry Pop-Tarts are, but it's not as real blueberry as a real blueberry ever is.
Or even like processed blueberry in an actual blueberry muffin.
Right.
This is decidedly better than a pumpkin pie one.
I agree.
Like, decidedly so. We're gonna finish eating these real quick.
Just did one. So there we go. There we go. Podcast and TikTok audiences. The blueberry muffin Kit Kat better than the pumpkin pie Kit Kat.
Yep. We ask every week for what we should add into the blank spot in the draft that ends up happening once we do it, and we want to just shout out. Sam found this one. The shout out, the honorable mention for the draft items that we will not be adding to the list. At least not properly.
No. That was, and I can't remember who one of our fellow creators suggested, movie roles we would like to see reprised by Nicolas Cage.
I just love that as a concept. That's funny. Edward Scissorhands would be a lovely one.
But anyway, so we have our D20 table right here in front of us.
Yes. All right. So let's roll to see what the topic of this week's draft will be. For those of you that don't know, we draft 5 items from a specific category, a category that is selected by a roll of a D20, and we have a D20 table here. Some of them are D&D. A lot of them are not. Here we go.
What'd you get?
19.
That is bands.
Shit.
Ooh.
Shit.
All right.
I do not know many bands.
This might be a rough one this week because my taste in music is...
We have different tastes.
We have different tastes, and not to be hipster, but a little obscure. My taste is a little obscure.
Now, are we including artists that aren't necessarily in a band as well? Like a Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift's not.
Taylor Swift is the headliner of the band. I would say as long as they do the performing. So like for example, I would not include composers such as like obviously. Hans Zimmer.
Yes, I would never select Hans Zimmer, and I would not deprave him by claiming him as a band or a musical artist. He is a God-tier composer. Anyway. Right. Roll for initiative. Who gets the number 1 overall draft pick? Ooh.
17.
6.
All right. So I get the number 1 overall draft pick.
Oh
boy. Ooh, okay. So again, this is to pick for the audience will judge us after we're done.
Yeah.
And so probably have to go with one of the most popular bands of all time. Mm-hmm. Queen. So many classic songs.
Solid pick, man. That is a solid pick.
Freddie Mercury took a bullet for the entire gay community.
He did.
Yeah. So that's my first draft.
That's a solid pick. A lot of value with that pick. I'm going with the actual greatest band of all time. That would be the Beatles.
That was that. I was between Queen and the Beatles.
I mean, the Beatles are rock and roll in many ways.
They are.
Arguably, well, not arguably, like statistically the most popular band of all time. So, I think that's an easy first overall pick. So,
All right. Well, round 2. I'm gonna keep it classic and kind of in that old era. Elvis Presley.
Elvis.
The king.
All right.
The king.
As influential as his hip thrusting was, you could have gotten him for a 5th round pick. I could tell you that right now.
I think that
I could tell you that right now. I'm just going to drop that all the way down.
Well, here's the thing. I've known actually multiple people who have been in Elvis cover bands.
Multiple people?
Yes.
That's a bit concerning.
Eh.
All right. Well.
Also, we have a trend of choosing 5th round picks of just people or bands or things we really like instead of necessarily.
That is the way these tend to end up going. Right now, I'm popping up my my music playlist to try and find another band because I'm thinking of one, but I'm blanking on the name of them. Okay. Ah, there we go. This one. If you've watched Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, you know that there is your head sense and your heart sense. I'm going with my heart sense here, and that is the Foo Fighters.
Interesting.
The Foo Fighters. I'm a very big fan of the Foo Fighters. I'm not a big music person in general. I like soundtracks.
You do.
A lot more than I like bands. But as far as bands go, there's a couple that I would be willing to go see in concert and spend that money on, and the Foo Fighters is one of them. They got some jams. They got the broad appeal. The cover community loves Foo Fighter songs. They're very good to mash up with other things, to cover with female artists, make them more somber and slow. It's good stuff. Highly recommend.
All right, number 3 pick.
Third overall pick.
In the metal community, I think it's one of the big ones. Metallica.
Yeah, Metallica.
Hard to miss Metallica.
I mean, synonymous with metal. It's
yes.
Name. Aren't they going on tour again?
They might be.
I think they are.
I don't pay attention to the world.
I might be mistaking that with Kiss. The only reason I know this is I have a coworker who is very into bands and loves going to see bands. So there's that.
True.
There's that. I think we're starting to diverge in our strategies for drafting here because, as mentioned earlier, my 3rd overall draft pick is going to be Taylor Swift.
Ooh, T-Swift.
You're going hard. You're going like balls deep into one good genre. Very good genre. Very popular bands. I'm trying to spread the wealth a little bit. I needed the clear overall pick of the Beatles. I wanted something more for me that still has that broad appeal with the Foo Fighters. Taylor Swift, not necessarily for me.
True, but
not for me.
One of the most popular artists. She's perpetually.
Yeah, exactly.
Perpetually.
Sam, 4th overall pick.
4th overall pick. I would like to go with somebody more modern, but here's my problem. I can't think of anybody more modern right now.
You don't want 4th overall pick, Young Gravy. MILF Chaser himself.
The MILF Chaser himself. You know what? This name has been tumbling around my head, and only because he is a influence to us all who play Magic and or Apex, which we play both. Post Malone.
Posty, that is a good one. That's a solid pick. That's a solid 4th round pick. That's a very solid 4th round pick. Now, I've already decided what my last 2 picks are.
Okay.
The problem is that maybe I haven't decided what my last 2 picks are. One of them is for me. The other one also for me.
Okay.
But they both tie into each other a little bit here. And you're going to see the through line here in a little bit once I get into them, because my 4th overall pick is my personal favorite band of all time, and that is the Bare Naked Ladies. Oh. The Bare Naked Ladies.
Triple platinum.
Have you been triple platinum? BNL is an icon.
Are they so integral to our society that they need
it? They are. For those of you that don't know what we're referencing here, we are referencing the hit television comedy Community. Bare Naked Ladies. Classic band. 1 week. I know that song. Inside, outside, flip side, around the side. All the sides. First heard it on Digimon the movie.
Digimon the movie.
Yeah.
That's a throwback.
Oh, yeah. Bare Naked Ladies. The first band on my list that I would want to see live in concert.
We actually have some friends who went and saw them a couple weeks ago, or months ago now, actually. But
yeah. I had plans to go see them a couple years ago with one of my friends, and well, actually no, I didn't have plans. I didn't know that it was happening, and I hear from one of my friends. She was like, "Hey Connor, I went to go see the Bare Naked Ladies." I was like, "You went to what?" And and then she like kind of stared at me for a sec and was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Just didn't tell me at all.
Wow.
I know, rude. All right, so last pick.
And this is for me. And it is the only artist I've actually seen live in concert multiple times. Mm-hmm. That is Weird Al Yankovic.
Yeah. The comedy artist.
He is the parody king.
He is the parody king.
He is the original. He is accredited as the original parody artist, and miscredited with a lot of racist bullshit.
Yes, that is true. But
yes,
that's true. Weird Al is a solid pick. I'm going in the same kind of vein here a little bit, because there's a lot of ones that were swimming around in my head. Eminem was in my head.
Eminem,
Macklemore,
Maclacat,
Lil Dicky,
of course. Mm-hmm. This bitch don't fuck with Pangea.
Exactly. Lonely Island.
Lonely Island.
There's a lot of options out here. We could theoretically
we could just name bands all day.
We're imbeciles.
All right.
We could make this a 10 team band, a 10 player band.
We could
team if we wanted to, but we're not going to do that. But as I said, a tie-in to the Bare Naked Ladies here. That's Childish Gambino.
Indeed.
Childish Gambino himself.
Childish Gambino.
This Is America took the world by storm. Very popular. On Community.
In Spider-Man.
Yeah, in Spider-Man. He's an entertaining artist. He is talented with lyricism, rhyming schemes, and his sound is just weird and different. And I appreciate that.
Also, a fabulous stand-up comedian.
Fabulous. Multi-talented.
Multi-talented.
He's a five-pointed war front in and of himself, which is fantastic. I hope we don't have music fans here, because I'm sure we pissed a lot of people.
Oh, probably.
These teams are infuriating to most people, and I can fully recognize that as the honest-to-God truth. But the final teams are Sam with Queen, Elvis Presley, Metallica, Post Malone, and Weird Al Yankovic. My team is the Beatles, the Foo Fighters, Taylor Swift, the Bare Naked Ladies, and Childish Gambino. Hoo boy, I can feel the anger from the internet already.
Here's the thing. We've never claimed to be experts at anything. We have proficiency, maybe, in D&D.
I would say we have proficiency in D&D, for sure.
But that's about it. So, we will post the teams on our Instagram page next week when the podcast drops.
Yes, when the podcast drops on Wednesday, October 26th. This will be on the Instagram, and you'll be able to vote on it there.
And then we will read the results
next week.
Next time we record.
Now, to replace the number 19 spot, we've got some options. We're also going to turn to the TikTok chat for anyone that's there that has suggestions for another topic that we should add to the D20 table of topics to draft upon. Some examples of what we have: medicines. I forgot that was on there. That's a weird one. That's a weird one, but I dig it. Drinks to order at a bar. Articles of clothing. Smells good. Smells bad. D&D feats, D&D classes, pets, vegetables, and then, of course, the movie roles that we would want to be reprised by Nicolas Cage. We will not actually be adding that to the list, probably, but you never know. Any suggestions from the chat?
No suggestions thus far. We'll keep it open until we're done with the live.
Rip.
But in the meantime,
we actually have a Dungeons and Dragons. This is it's been a while.
It's been a while.
This is ostensibly a Dungeons and Dragons podcast. 30 minutes in.
Yeah.
30 minutes in, we are finally going to get to the Dungeons and Dragons things. We have some good news items for today. As previously mentioned, the one D&D experts survey is live now as you are watching it. Dragonlance, they released a video on the YouTube talking about Shadow of the Dragon Queen, which will be releasing on December 6th. Sam, you have the first 2 news items.
Yeah, so first up, on October 4th, Hasbro, a global brand entertainment leader, hosted its first Investor Day under the new leadership of its Chief Executive Officer, Chris Cox.
Nice.
They went through and talked about meaningful changes that are going to be expected to be deliver positive financial impacts as early as the fourth quarter of this year. And through this review process, the company sought to identify opportunities to focus and scale the business and enhance operational excellence and drive accelerated growth and profit. Investor Day highlights some of the marketing strategy investments to fuel the blueprints are as follows. Direct to consumer and digital will be a major investment focus of the company. The company's direct platform, anchored by Hasbro Pulse and D&D Beyond, is poised to become a $1 billion digital and e-commerce direct business with over 50 million accounts by 2027, up from 20 million today. Other than that, they'll be including licensing for major expansions with new and recent partnerships announced with Basic Fun on Little's Pet Shops and Lego on Transformers, and expect profits to continue across Hasbro's beloved 100-year IP vault. The entertainment investments are set to more than double for Hasbro's IP across the company's iconic portfolio of leading toys and game brands. The company announced Peppa Pig, Dungeons & Dragons, Magic the Gathering, Transformers, Play-Doh, Nerf, and iconic gaming brands like Monopoly and Clue as key focus brands.
Quick point of order here. They're not talking about a Peppa Pig Dungeons & Dragons book.
No, these are all separate IPs that
which would be hilarious.
I mean, we've seen other stuff.
And it didn't hit me until just this moment. This totally explains why we're getting Transformers Magic the Gathering card tie-ins, aren't we?
Yes, they actually did Transformers Magic the Gathering in, I believe, a previous unset, but now with Brothers War, they're actually bringing in legal to play Transformers cards. Other than that, they announced that Magic the Gathering is on track to become the first billion-dollar brand. Its first billion-dollar brand has ignited exciting new collaborations with Final Fantasy and Assassin's Creed, and new blockbuster 30th Anniversary Edition collectible series inspired by a limited edition beta, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah, it's very easy to grow your brand when you're selling proxies for $1,000.
Dungeons & Dragons will be a major growth priority with a blockbuster film, D&D Honor Among Thieves, a new AAA video game, Baldur's Gate 3, and a host of new collectible toys and games paired with the movie event in 2023. Those are the major ones that we are interested in, of course, being Magic the Gathering and Dungeons & Dragons. And to wrap this up, this investor's portfolio plan to grow profits over 50% over the next 3 years. Expect more content.
Yep.
That's what Hasbro was saying.
We've talked before of the oversaturation of D&D content that is coming out of Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro lately.
Yes.
And the hobby, if you want, they're putting out a lot more content. And they know, every company knows, if you have a fervent fan base, they'll buy whatever you make.
Yes.
Same with Magic the Gathering. Same with everything. Mm-hmm. Video game series, books, everything.
Movie series, yes. Everything.
And like it's fun for people like us that we just like having the books on our shelves and having access to them and reading through them and talking about them on a podcast. Mm-hmm. Choice paralysis is a real thing.
Oh, yeah.
And now there's more options than ever for somebody to find a way into D&D, be it You may be a fan of Dragonlance and you want to play D&D. You are a fan of Critical Role and you want to play D&D. You like Greek mythology and you get into Theros. You're a big fan of Harry Potter and you get into Strixhaven. Like, there's a lot of ways in. But with that comes the problem of, what the fuck is all of this?
Yeah.
And stuff coming out too quickly that, like, they made Spelljammers a fairly large release, but the release and the content in the books still felt rushed.
It still felt rushed. It had there was some backlash from the community, and it quickly got overshadowed by the fact that the Shadow of the Dragon Queen is coming right around the corner.
Yeah.
It didn't even get 6 months.
No. It's already effectively gone. Like, it's clear that some of the ideas that they had were somewhat half-baked with ship-to-ship, interstellar combat, and travel, like, all that kind of stuff. It just felt thin. And literally, the books themselves were thin as well, but in content, they just didn't feel as fleshed out as they could have been. And Spelljammers is a massive setting with countless options that you could use with it. But I don't know. They have a plan for so many things to be released. They're ramping up their releases even more, and all of this is before a large refresh to the core system itself with 1D&D in 2024, which is concerning to me. You would think they would want to slow down a little bit and then put their efforts into all of the 1D&D stuff and make it a good, proper release that everybody is happy with and they want. And then you give time for Spelljammers to be a big thing. You give time for Dragonlance to be a big thing. You give time for all of these options. And then, once they know in a year from now the big directions that 1D&D is going to go, then they can design what's that anthology book that's coming out, Radiant Citadel?
Radiant Citadel just came out.
No, it's the other one. Damn it. Is Radiant Citadel the one where they have, like, that giant crystal with the town that's like around? Is that what that is?
That's Radiant Citadel. Yeah, that's out.
Is there another anthology coming?
I mean, they were doing yearly anthologies. I believe they
announced on D&D Day an anthology, and it's slipping my brain because it's 2:30 on a Thursday and I'm tired. But then you give space for Spelljammers to have its full thing. You give space for Dragonlance to have its full thing, and then you can have this anthology where 1D&D, whatever that ends up being, is well into development, and then you can create this anthology that is like a farewell song to 5e, but then also is useful and works with all the 1D&D stuff. 1D&D obviously backwards compatible with 5th edition, but they can change some formatting that will reflect 1D&D. And then once 1D&D starts, you have this anthology of a bunch of adventures from various levels that all just drop in and work perfectly. That's what I would do. They want to release 8 books. Or
yeah, they've been doing I think recently, even starting this year, really, this year, doing a quarterly release. But it's not been a consistent, like, there's been an anthology every year, and there's big settings announced, but it's not like there's a select set of things that we can expect each year. It's not like we can always expect a player's guide, a dungeon master's guide, a huge big drop of campaign setting and world, and an anthology. No, it's been like, all right, well, we're going to throw one huge campaign at you. Now we're going to throw another huge campaign at you, but that one's going to have board game tie-in. And going back to 1D&D Day, I remember there were a lot of or not 1D&D Day, but D&D Day. There were a lot of talks of different stream games that were going to start popping up, and that some of them were going to focus very specifically on Spelljammer. I haven't heard anything about those, and we have our ears to the ground.
They've been releasing them.
They're
out. I don't see anyone talking about it online. I don't see the content creators that were attached to be a part of it talking about it online. I don't see ProZD talking about it. I don't see Ginny D talking about it. I don't see anyone talking about it.
Yeah, no one. I'm not getting I'm not getting targeted ads about it. I'm not.
No. They have a plan. It feels like a thin plan, and I'm worried. Also, in this economy, which is trending down. Which, by the way, if you're unaware, the economy is going to crash very soon, and we're going to have a recession again very soon. I don't care what the government says. Oh, we're not in a recession. We're in a recession. Things are going to get worse.
Yeah.
And for companies that are trying to expand right now in a situation where they really should be just doubling down on what they already got in the pipeline. I don't know.
Speaking of things that they already got in the pipeline.
Oh, clean these pipes out.
Yeah. Wizards of the Coast has announced a new game being developed in the Unreal Engine 5 and will be a, quote, AAA game delivered from the Dungeons & Dragons universe, end quote. That's about all the information we have right now. The game is being worked on by Invoke Studios and has a development team from its current of 80 members that is expected to expand to 200 members by 2025. And it is unclear if the 200 plus team will be necessary for the full development of this game. New game coming. It's not Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate is coming. Baldur's Gate 3 is coming. It's not this game.
Baldur's Gate, by the way, it does now have it is confirmed for a full launch somewhere next year in 2023.
Yep.
So,
look forward to that.
I guess. Open world games. I love an open world game. Asterisk. Asterisk. There's a lot of shit open world games. The guy who's leading the studio, Dominic Guay.
Guay.
I'm going to say Guay.
Guay.
If it sounds like I'm saying gay, I'm not. It's Guay.
It's Guay.
He's leading the studio. He left Ubisoft last year, and he worked there for 20 years on a lot of games, but big notable ones are Watch Dogs and Watch Dogs 2. Divisive games, to say the least. Many people did not think the original Watch Dogs was very good.
It had a lot of build-up, a lot of
hype. It looked very interesting from the announcement trailers, but Watch Dogs failed to live up to a lot of that hype. Watch Dogs 2 was better, from what I've heard. I have not played either of them.
I have not actually played either of them either.
Watch Dogs 2 seems like it had a lot more interesting things going on than the original Watch Dogs, but, you know, if you were a big fan of Watch Dogs, then the guy that made that is going to be making this, so...
If you like Watch Dogs, let us know in the comments.
There you go. Last two top stories. The Dungeons & Dragons documentary is being developed by Hasbro's Entertainment One division. Entertainment One, of course, looking into transmedia and multimedia outlets for Dungeons & Dragons, Magic the Gathering, all other Hasbro properties as well. The film is set to premiere in tandem with the release of 1D&D on the 50th anniversary of Dungeons & Dragons in 2024. It is going to travel all the way back to the game's creation in the early 1970s and cover its infamous wizards and elves via more than 400 hours of archived footage. Joe Manganiello, the actor, doubles as an official ambassador for Dungeons & Dragons, is going to co-direct the feature with Kyle Newman. Nick Manganiello, Anthony Savini, and Cecily Tyler are set to produce it. Joe gives a lot of quotes. Joe, of course, familiar with from many a Dungeons & Dragons thing. Mm-hmm. He's appeared on Critical Role. He's done many a fun thing on his own as well.
Stream of Many Eyes. He is notable for having a Dungeons & Dragons themed man cave.
Yes. I really hope
and being buff.
I really hope that as a director, and since this is going to be a documentary, I hope as the director, a co-director, he just voices it all. He's got that voice.
That sultry voice.
He's got a voice that I'd like to listen to in a documentary. I'm pumped for the 400 hours of archived footage from the entire history of D&D. I think that's going to be cool as shit. And it would be a fun thing if it was released like a week before 1D&D books.
Yeah.
Game stores, which I hope they put them in game stores a week before Target and a week before Amazon and all that shit. I don't think that's
that's not. Damn it, Hasbro.
But they went back to doing Magic the Gathering pre-releases a week before on local game stores.
True.
So
this is the second documentary we've talked about on this podcast in this past year. The first one being fan-made, and focusing more on the community and the culture of D&D, where this sounds like it's going to focus a lot more on the content and the development and the different stages of D&D we've seen since the 1970s.
Mm-hmm. And it's going to have a lot of cool interviews from celebrity fans like Vince Vaughn, the guitarist from Rage Against the Machine, which we could have drafted.
We could have. We didn't. Sorry, Rage Against the Machine.
And Game of Thrones co-creator D.B. Weiss. It's a good time. Love a documentary. Many people love a documentary. Now, serious note. I want to preface this. Headline here. As Iranian youths protest, cafes filled with board games and Dungeons & Dragons provide community. Throughout this article and our own conversation, I want to point out there's a very, very big difference between the people of Iran and the Iranian government. The Iranian government is fucked up and really not good. It is oppressive. It is dictatorial. It is tyrannical. It kills people because they're gay. Stones them to death. It's illegal to be trans. It's not a great place to live. Women can be arrested and disappeared for not wearing a head covering. Not a great place. But Iran, known in Western circles primarily for its Islamic fundamentalism and its animosity towards the United States. The historically minded, of course, will hold a great respect for the country's literature, its poetry, and its cultural history, but vanishingly few outside the Middle East know Iran for its board gaming culture, which is shockingly huge. It's actually massive. When you enter Tehran, the capital of Iran, you'll find it is filled with cafes. Many of them are dedicated to board games, and you'll find people of all ages, genders, and different backgrounds playing with colorful bits and cardboard tokens, exploring everything from heavy Euro-style strategy games to simple deduction puzzles. The world of board games in Iran is extraordinary, rising over the last decade and a half to become a fundamental part of the modern culture in Iran. For a little bit of contextualism for why this is happening, you need to go back through Iran's history. In the 20th century, the used to be Western-backed monarchy with a tyrannical king. The king gained absolute power through a coup d'etat in 1921, only to be toppled by a massive Islamic revolution in 1979. Due to the strong influences of its religious and other leaders, the revolution turned Iran into yet another dictatorial regime ruled by Ayatollah Khomeini. Khomeini started a campaign called Cultural Revolution, designed to purge Iran of what it deemed as, quote, liberal, communist, socialist, and anti-Islamic influences. The Cultural Revolution was a devastating event, and its influence is persistently reinforced by the current tyrannical regime in Iran today. The expression, the youth has no fun, is frequently used by many Iranians to describe the lack of entertainment in Iran. Alcoholic beverages are illegal in the country, so there are no bars of any kind. Dancing, musical instruments, singing, and many other activities are either prohibited or are extremely limited, and only men can enjoy them in what has ironically become one of the country's most accidentally homoerotic environments. That's a quote from this article, which I find hilarious. Soccer is most widely appealing hobby in the country, and even that excludes half of the population entirely, as women cannot participate. On September 16th, Mahsa Amini, a 22-year-old Iranian woman, died at the hands of the Ministry of Culture and Islamic Guidance, colloquially known as the Morality Police in the West. This has led to a series of high-profile anti-government protests across Iran, the likes of which the country hasn't seen since the 1979 revolution, and it's already being called the 2022 revolution. Since 1979, the Islamic Republic has used its power to create a form of gender apartheid that specifically targets young women. On many streets in Tehran, you can find the members of the morality police targeting and harassing young women for some of the most ludicrous reasons, such as holding hands with their boyfriends or wearing their hijab incorrectly, as was the case for Amini. If you know anything about the story of Mahsa Amini, it is unbelievable. The Iranian government and the morality police are horrible, terrible, oppressive people. Mm-hmm. The Iranian people, lovely. And apparently in an accidental homoerotic environment. So good for them. Congratulations. But their main outlet through all of this, one of the few things that they still allow for them in Iran, is board games and Dungeons and Dragons, which I find so ass backwards from what you would think, right?
Sure.
Because China can force companies like Disney to change their movies and re-edit them to fall in line with their beliefs. If you want to know why Finn in the Star Wars sequels was like setting up to be a big thing in episode 7, and then episode 8 and episode 9 he basically falls into nothing. It's because Chinese people don't like black people. By the Chinese people, I mean the Chinese government. Again, we need to talk macro here. Mm-hmm. Want to reiterate, we're not talking about people individually. We're talking about people's, a society, and government. Okay? It is amazing that in this horrible situation that has been kind of taking over a lot of the news outlets with Masa Amini and the protests going on in Iran, that one of their big outlets is our beloved hobby. Yeah. We should encourage that. I don't know what kind of access Iranians have to the internet. Join Discord servers, join chat rooms, Roll20, D&D Beyond, anything you can, because there are, I'm sure, plenty of people that would be watching and listening to us that are on D&D TikTok, that are on YouTube, that are anywhere, that would love to participate with people no matter where they are in the world. Mm-hmm. And thankfully, D&D, for better or for worse, I would say for better, is one of the most inclusive, and anyone can play it and play how you want places. Highly recommend. Highly recommend. If you know anyone in Iran, reach out to them and tell them you love them. And offer to be their dungeon master. Or mistress. Mm-hmm. Or, like, I don't know, play some betrayal.
Yeah. Do whatever you feel right. Yeah. Do it, follow your heart.
Bust out some Red Dragon Inn. Let them fake drink instead of actually drink. Because that's illegal. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to move away from heavy topics now and wrap up time. Sam.
Wrap up. Market Watch. Hasbro shares are down 3% after profits roughly halves in last quarter, with consumers feeling pressure from inflation. As we said, inflation's going up. Yep. Economy's going down. Take that as you will.
Yeah, I'm not. But everything's going down. It should be expected in this environment. I hope that this doesn't encourage them to, we need to make more stuff now to recoup this. Like, no, things will recover. Give it time. You're
chill,
Hasbro. You're
chill,
going to
Hasbro.
Be fine.
Yes.
You're going to be fine. Don't kill the good things you have going. For example.
Oh my God. Next. From magic.wizards.com. Celebrating 30 years of Magic the Gathering with a 30th anniversary edition. So
that sounds awesome.
That's
really cool.
And it's going to be it is packs of cards that you have a chance of getting 30th anniversary edition collector proxies of the original beta cards from the early days.
They're reprinting beta cards? That would be so cool.
Yeah.
Except they all have a different back.
So technically not legal.
Even as proxies, I mean, a bunch of people play Commander. If these packs are like $20-$30, that's still really cool collector's item.
Well, wait. What if you got a chance to get any of those cards?
I mean,
4 packs.
Cracking packs. That's 4. Yeah, that's the case.
You get a chance in one of these 4 packs for $999.
For 40 packs?
For 4 packs.
Oh, for 4. Like 1, 2, 3, 4 packs.
1, 2, 3, 4 packs. So 60 cards. Mm-hmm. You get 60 cards with a chance of getting any of these. And by the way, if you do have $999, but you're a little too late, sorry.
Yeah,
they're not being made to print. They made a limited quantity.
If you are thinking, wow, that sounds really stupid, who would buy this? Nobody. They know that Magic the Gathering and Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro know. They got, like most corporations, they know that they got their customers by the balls. And if you've heard the term whales before in reference to, like, video games, a whale is someone who spends a lot of money on a single game. Mm-hmm. Be it like Apex Legends, Call of Duty Warzone, mobile games,
retro games,
and anything that has a loot box mechanic, a pay-to-win mechanic, anything like that where you can just endlessly put money into it. There are people that are spending thousands of dollars a month on that. And this is what Magic the Gathering is choosing to do. This was a beautiful opportunity for them to take some of the best beta and alpha cards and reprint them legally and sell packs for like $30. And people would buy the shit out of that.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, you're not going to reprint like Black Lotus, but Lightning Bolt, Land of War Elves, fucking old, like even just the old school lands or dual lands.
Oh yeah.
Would be great. I don't see how they fucked this up this bad. Do they just not care?
I mean,
or do they know that they can make what, 10,000 of these?
Well, yeah, because
and then make $100,000. What? No, not even $100,000. $1 million, and it would cost them
basically nothing. And here's the thing, was it you can call into Wizards of the Coast and be like, hey, Wizards, send me a pack. I have $999 for you. No. They sent one copy to each of their affiliate game stores.
Not all of them either.
And if you were a premium Wizard affiliate, you could get 3.
Yeah.
It goes
back. And it's not even like they were just sending them. You still had to buy them.
Yeah. And you know what it goes back to? It goes back to the fact that they're trying to grow their profits 50% over the next 3 years. Because they said 5 years ago they wanted to grow their profits 50% over the next 5 years, and they did it in 3 years.
Yep. This is such a sad missed opportunity. Even if they kept it exactly as it is, but instead they said, we are sending one to every LGS that purchases Magic the Gathering cards, or that are partnered with them. Mm-hmm. And then if you are one of the premium ones, we'll send you like 3. And all that we request is that you hold a 30th anniversary event and give it away. That would be fucking awesome. It would still make these things rare. They would still have a lot of value. Mm-hmm. They would still, even if they were as proxies. Now, if they were to do that, should they have made it just a set of cards instead of packs of cards? You could spend $1,000 if you're like, I really want a proxy Black Lotus. You can buy for $1,000 the 4 packs and not pull anything that's particularly good.
Yeah.
And if by some miracle you manage to buy multiple boxes for multiple thousands of dollars, at no point are you guaranteed anything.
Nope.
It is fucked up. It is greedy. And it's just really sad.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan. I hope that kind of shit doesn't come to freaking D&D. If we have a 30th anniversary D&D something for like $1,000 that's worthless, I'm gonna be pissed.
Here's the thing, like with D&D, even though it's that we have seen an uptick in pieces that are hella expensive, especially in like dragon minis, full-size dragon minis, and statues, busts of Vecna and the likes. And that's a little more understandable that those are hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars. Yeah, they're art pieces.
And you know exactly what you're getting.
Exactly what you're getting. And especially with D&D, you don't have to have the cards to play the game. You don't have to have anything to play the game. You can look things on
pieces of paper, print from online.
There are plenty of free resources, basic rules online that you can get for free. You can use pennies and gummy bears as minis.
Yeah.
That makes sense, and it makes sense that there are going to be more expensive things available in the world of D&D. This was supposed to be a celebration of 30 years of Magic, and you know who made Magic popular? It was the people who bought it, the people who played it, and for the last 30 years.
Yep. It's fucked up.
All right.
We got a couple.
Let's move on.
Positive things, 2 positive things, unrelated. I mean, they're related to D&D, but they're not D&D per se. They are Critical Role. They announced their new The Mighty Nein, The 9 Eyes of Lucian, a Critical Role novel written by Madeleine Roux in collaboration with one Taliesin Jaffe as well as Matthew Mercer. A book going over the mysterious past of Mollymuck Tealeaf and any of his other existences that may or may not have happened before and after his passings, as he, spoiler alert, dies and comes back and dies and comes back.
It's been over 6 months. I don't think we have to put spoiler alert.
Yeah, it's still good. It's still good practice. Wonderful long interviews with Madeline talking about their process for writing the book. We're not going to get into it. It's a wrap up. It's going to release on November 1st. So as of this podcast going live, 1 week. 2 weeks from now, a little less than 2 weeks from now, 1 week from the posting of this podcast. Not a big reader of novels, but the cover is fucking cool, man.
Well, it's also going to be narrated.
Yes.
By Robbie Daymond.
By Robbie Daymond himself. Mm-hmm. In addition to Campaign 3 for many an episode that I wish they'd held on to for a little while longer, because he's awesome. I was a big fan of Robbie Daymond in Campaign 3.
Me too.
The other Critical Role announcement, The Mighty Nein Reunited, a 2-part special of Dungeons & Dragons for Critical Role that is going to bring back the cast of Campaign 2. It's going to take place several months after the completion of Campaign 2 and their adventures in Cognosa. And they are going to tie up some loose ends that have been left undealt with. It's going to be Part 1 is going to release on November 17th. Part 2 is going to release on December 1st, both of them on YouTube and Twitch Live, and then later on VOD. You can also see them in select Cinemark theaters live in 63 locations in America, as well as 6 in South America, which is very exciting. Love the Mighty Nein. Big fan of Campaign 2. Hope it's Ukatoa.
That'd be cool.
That's one of the real big ones that they just kind of left undealt with, per se. I mean, Ukatoa wasn't going to be able to break out where they left him in, but it just kind of like, I'm just going to hold on to this artifact forever. We killed Ghost Zombie Avantika, and all is right with the world. It just felt like there was still a bit more story to tell there, and I hope that's the route they go.
There was, and I mean, they very much said it at the end of Campaign 2. Matt was like, yeah, I was ready to just wrap up this, it felt like things were coming to a nice conclusion, and anything more might have not been necessary.
That's fair.
And so yeah, now that gives us a chance to do special things like this.
When they originally announced that their travels through Islecross and later Cognosa would be the end of the campaign, I was a bit skeptical, because I'm like, there's still a lot more to cover. They're only level 15. Like, they didn't go all the way to level 20. So I was a bit apprehensive, but that was the right place to end that campaign.
Yeah.
That was perfect. It ended up being longer than the original run of Campaign 1.
Yeah.
So by, I believe, about 12, 14 episodes, something like that. Longer, 112 to like 126, 25, something like that.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. But that is all of the news items for today. The meat, the wrap up, all the juicy bits.
The wiki.
And of course, we're gonna promote here, of course, the Discord server where over 230 people join us. Mm-hmm. It's a wonderful community, growing. I added a bunch of new custom emojis.
Go check them out.
Very exciting. Very exciting.
Free to everybody.
You can follow us on the Instagram, where you can vote on the draft that we did at the beginning of this episode. We were drafting bands, and surely pissed many people off.
We will hopefully not be killed for it.
Mm-hmm. You can follow us on YouTube, where many of you are subscribed already. We are halfway to monetization in both subscriber count and watch hours, and I've got a couple videos that I want to get out soon. I've got some rattling around the old noggin as well. We got plans. Whether or not we execute them in a timely manner, I mean, it's us. So
we do this as a side gig.
Yes. Oh, Sam, we didn't even mention that your birthday happened recently.
Oh yeah, this past Sunday.
Happy birthday! We cracked so many Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, we opened 2 draft booster boxes with 7 people to 5 of our friends and us.
Played some Commander. We did some
drafting
constructed decks. That was very fun. One of your friends is very well versed in Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, he's been playing for a long time.
It's a very, very expensive Commander deck. Thousands of dollars of real cards, and they're all foil and all like fancy and
all fancy art.
Like it's his CEDH deck. So But that was lovely. We cracked packs. We have some Magic the Gathering, Dungeons & Dragons, Adventures in the Forgotten Realms pre-release packs that I bought on eBay. It is not pre-released. These have been out for a while, but we're going to crack these at the end of the TikTok live stream, which we live stream our recording of the podcast every other week. The day is not really specific. We did a good job of actually putting the event on TikTok and the Discord well in advance.
Score.
So you can see it when you watch our content on TikTok, which, by the way, over 28,000 of you follow us on TikTok now.
Hell yeah, guys.
It seems like it's growing every day, even though I've been forgetting to post a lot.
I noticed that.
Yeah, that's impressive. Very well done. Good on us.
Let's keep it up.
Go team. Go team. And now we will end the podcast as we always do with questions, comments, concerns from the audience. We have 2 questions in the Discord server. We have an entire channel in the Discord server dedicated to questions on the podcast. It is the most guaranteed way you can get your question read on the show. Adironate wrote in, who joined the Discord during our TikTok live, so may still be in chat.
Ooh.
And a fun question, but one I'm confident that we will both not be able to fulfill. He said, would you be interested in playing a Halloween D&D meat grinder one-shot on the 30th?
Dear Nate actually asked the same thing on the TikTok chat.
Yes. I'm working that day.
Yeah.
Sorry. But I love the idea of one-shots for holidays, particularly for non-family gathering holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, notwithstanding, go be with your family.
Unless they play D&D, then go play D&D with them on the holidays.
I love the idea of, like, a festival gone wrong, New Year's Eve to New Year's Day, D&D one-shot. I love, like, a meat grinder, like, vampires and werewolves, kind of like Curse of Strahd, Innistrad style, Barovia, dark, Transylvania Halloween thing.
See, I was going to say the first Die Hard movie.
Yeah, sure.
That's a holiday movie, and a lot of people die in it.
Classic holiday film.
But dear Nate, you've joined our Discord.
Thank you very much.
If we are unfortunately not available, but I'm sure if you really wanted to, there'd be some fun folks in our Discord who would love to.
Yes, if you're looking at the list of channels available to you directly below the podcast questions in a different category, D&D Game Rooms, there's the Looking for Group channel. And if you went over to that Looking for Group channel and said, hey, I'm looking for 5 players to play a Halloween meat grinder themed one-shot on the 30th, I would be very surprised if you were not able to find at least 4 to 5 players in that channel. Highly recommend.
He's running it on TikTok.
Oh,
wow, okay.
Well, there you go.
Maybe in the future we can collab on something. Who
Absolutely.
knows?
There's so many D&D creators that we want to do live games with from time to time. Role-playing degenerates top of the list. They're our homeboys. Awesome dudes.
They're home and our boys.
But there's so many creators we would love to play games with. That's the hope.
There are also some we'd love to fight.
Yep.
Boxing, specifically.
Mm-hmm. You know what you did. Daddy Velvet. I just want Daddy Velvet to hit me a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
With his sensual voice.
Oh, yeah. Big Daddy Velvet. Oh, boy. The other question in the Discord server is from Freesthis, also known as Sarah. She says, not a question, just a general idea that I haven't seen done that is always a fun discussion point. What about a campaign of characters where the goal is cleaning up the messes left behind by the previous adventurers? Meaning every time a BBEG is killed, or a fight happens in town, or something catches fire, this team of campaigners cleans up the mess. Other things to think about are how they know where to go. Is this a hired service? Do they have to go looking, or do they accidentally fall upon this mess and can't leave it behind, etc.? Don't know. Thinking out loud. Smiling yet anxious teardrop emoji face.
Interesting. I do like that idea, and I think if I were to do something like this, I think I would run it one of 2 ways, and I would either do it a very kind of comical, like very very meta, very heavy-handed, with them being a calls service, being like and being like, well,
like a guild.
Yeah, exactly. You're being called to the Lich's castle. Why? Well, some idiots just ran through and murdered him. So now there's 500 goblins that are just running amok.
There's goblins that are running amok. They're fighting zombies. We need to find the documentation for that castle, return it to the government because it now needs to be auctioned off to the highest bidder, like yada yada, like that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And I love the idea of making it a guild because you can make it mini-series campaigns.
Oh yeah, bring in whoever.
Different people can DM. You can have parties. You can make it a 1-shot, a 3-shot. Just short little adventures like that. I think that's hilarious, and I love that idea.
The other way I would run it is a more serious and almost in the style of... so the original Not Another D&D campaign kind of mixed with like Season 2/Season 3 of Critical Role, where the things have already happened. The big group of adventurers have already come through. They've defeated Vecna. They've defeated the Arch King, and now the world has moved on. I would actually have great aspirations of running this where it's like, oh, I finish a big campaign. Okay, now your characters, you guys, I'm staying with you 4 people who I played this campaign with. Mm-hmm. But now we're going to drop 2 years in the future, not 20, just 2 years in the future. You have new. Yeah. Yeah, you live in this town. You live in this city that your old characters knew, and it was a great bustling city. But it was funded by the Arch King. Well, now it's slums. It's all slums.
I love the idea of the power. You're kind of alluding to that there with the power vacuum, and it's like, oh, these adventurers came in and they toppled this tyrannical dictator, and then they were showered with praise, and they got a bunch of gold, and they left. And now this like mafia boss is running shit, and it's got martial law, and we need people to go in there and fucking take him out and like institute a proper government.
Yeah.
Like there's so many routes you could go with that. Or even like, oh, we defeated this massive demigod that was trying to ascend into godhood, this like archdevil thing, and we like turned him to stone, and now there's this giant archdevil stone statue in the middle of this just utterly destroyed city. Now the butthole like cracked open, and now there's a portal to the to the hells, and now there's just devils flying out and like attacking people. We need this to be dealt with because they left.
Right.
Great concept. I love that idea. Do it more now. Do it more. Sam,
jumping over the TikTok. Adrian 8 says, since you can't make it, it takes place in a castle that's actually an ancient mimic. Love that. Love that.
Very nice. Very nice.
And then we have one other question that we didn't technically answer earlier. Technically, there we answered it earlier of what happens when you crit on hitting a support beam. There is a possibility of it becoming a not support beam if it's a small structure. Bigger structures probably have multiple support beams.
Probably.
Otherwise, also, don't crash buildings on yourself. It's just not healthy.
Not a great idea.
But Shotgun Samurai 8 says, how would you make the Berserker Barbarian better? So there's 2 ways we could take this, and I'm sure we'll take it both, as we are known to do. Yeah. One, how would you take the as-written raw thing and make it better? Or how would you take a character that is a Berserker Barbarian of, say, 5th, 6th, 7th level and make it better?
So the main contention here, the 3rd level feature of the Berserker Barbarian is a lovely feature that lets them attack with their bonus action when they go into a frenzied rage. The downside is that at the end of that frenzied rage, they gain a level of exhaustion.
Yes.
Which means if you're raging more than once per long rest, you're actively encouraging yourself to not use that feature.
Yeah.
The detriment for the payoff is so steep that it doesn't encourage its use unless you know it's like a big boss fight and you've not done it yet.
Yeah.
Which is not the best for a 3rd level feature.
Right, especially at lower levels, but overall you want to be able to use your cool stuff.
Exactly.
And that, so I'm sure we're in the similar boat of if we were to just take the base Berserker Barbarian class and make it better, it would be to eliminate that point of exhaustion.
Now, another option here, if you are looking at the Experts 1D&D playtest, they have revamped exhaustion. It is now a 10-point system, and the detriments are not nearly as bad as you go up points in the scale. It is simply, when you have 1 point of exhaustion, you have a -1 to checks. You have 2 points of exhaustion, you have -2 to checks.
Yep.
Which, if you look at disadvantage, mathematically it is about 3.1 minus plus, depending on disadvantage, advantage. So about a -4 or a +4, which means that you would need to use 4 frenzied rages before you have a detriment as bad as 1 or 2 frenzied rages in the current exhaustion system. I also believe in the 1 D&D exhaustion, when you do a long rest, it wipes it all out.
I can't remember. I'd have to go look that. I do know that the Ranger class, one of the benefits is on a short rest, you can deplete 1 level of exhaustion.
Yeah.
I do not remember about the overall level of exhaustion.
Feel free to write in and correct us.
But as far as if you were playing a Berserker Barbarian, let's say a 5th level or so, what steps would you think you would take to make it, to increase your usefulness?
After the 5 levels of Barbarian, I would start taking levels in Moon Druid.
Moon Druid? That's a very classic Barbarian Druid crossover.
And then you can go into a Frenzied Rage as a brown bear. You are resistant to piercing, slashing, and bludgeoning damage, and you can now attack as a bonus action. You get an extra attack, which, by the way, if you're transforming into a creature that doesn't normally get multi-attack, extra attack will still work for you. Extra attack does not stack with multi-attack, so you can't multi-attack and then use extra attack to multi-attack again. But if you are an animal that only gets 1 attack, then you can now make 2 with extra attack, and you can also make a 3rd attack as your bonus action. And that gives you an entire extra pool of hit points that can be depleted all the way before you get transformed back into your original self, which, at that point, you're at least a 7th level barbarian, or 7th level character, 5th level barbarian, which is still pretty freaking good.
Yeah. And if you're not currently raging, the Druid has a variety of good low level spells that help you in being social or, just doing more than hitting things with an axe. Great
utility with the Druid. I'm a very big fan of the Moon Druid Barbarian multiclass, especially because you don't have to cast a lot of spells and worry about being a spellcaster, because you can just use them to heal yourself.
There you go. There you go. So that's let's see, that's all that's in the chat for me.
That's all we got.
That's all we got.
Not a lot. We had several in the Discord, which is a big thing for us. It's very exciting. I want to shout out the Discord for the last time. It's a great place to be. We want it to be more active. We're trying to make it better. He is not dead. Now, have we decided what we want to slot into our draft table now? Were there any suggestions?
No suggestions.
All right. How do you feel about drinks to order at a bar?
Sure, let's go for it.
You want me to just call it
bar drinks?
Oh,
we'll be pithy.
Pithy bar drinks. That'll replace. Again, you can go to the Instagram that Sam runs. He will be next week on Wednesday, October 26th, the day this podcast goes live on podcast services around the globe and on YouTube. He's going to put up a story on the Instagram, and you'll be able to vote on which of our draft teams should win for the bands. I would not be surprised if this vote ends in 0%, because nobody voted. Because they're bad. That would be expected. We're gonna crack some Magic the Gathering packs on the back end of this live stream on TikTok, and we all love you very much.
Yeah. In the meantime, peace.